Hi, I'm Royal Editor Matt Wilkinson, and a special warm welcome to Royal Exclusive Sun Club members. Now, the Sun can exclusively reveal to you that Prince Andrew's China spy crisis is getting worse and worse, because we can tell you that the Duke of York hosted a secret business meeting between the Chinese ambassador and the CEO of a multinational firm wanting to invest in China at Royal Lodge just days before he was named in court papers linking him to alleged Chinese spy Yang Tengbo. With me to discuss Andrew's reputation, decision-making and ask whether the King's brother is a useful idiot or a threat to national security is news.com.au royal correspondent Bronte Coy and former Lib Dem MP Norman Baker. Guys, it gets worse and worse for Andrew, OK? So this is a meeting that he had on December the 9th, just a couple of days before the news broke that he was linked to the Chinese spy. He sat down, he invited the Chinese ambassador to the UK to Royal Lodge, of all places, to meet a business friend of him. This is the CEO of Waterberg Sterling. What do we think about this, Norman? Is he in deep water here?
Every time you find something out about Andrew, it gets worse, never gets better. He goes from one disaster to another, and he shows, as always, a complete lack of judgment in terms of what he's doing. He also shows that he's interested in pursuing himself rather than pursuing anything on behalf of this country, for example, let alone the royal family. It's extraordinary, I think, for the Chinese ambassador to wander out to Royal Lodge. It's quite a distance, and my experience with ambassadors, limited but it may be, is they tend to stay put, by the way, in London, either in their embassies or in a hotel nearby if they're meeting somebody, or in the House of Commons or whatever. They don't tend to go out to, different parts of the country in this way. So that's extraordinary. So he's using a royal property for his own personal benefit, because what he'll be doing here, I'm sure, will be tying up the Chinese with his business operation in order to get a commission for introductions. That's what it looks like.
We don't know this yet. What we do know is that Prince Andrew arranged an introduction between a business friend of his that wants to invest in China with the Chinese ambassador. But you're right, he did use Royal Lodge, and this is a property that he has fought so hard to keep. He's got extra money to keep there, and it does raise questions about whether he is bringing Royal Lodge into this.
And Andrew doesn't do things for nothing. Andrew will be doing something for a financial gain. That's the whole history of Andrew over the last 20, 30 years. And therefore, if he's hosting a meeting at Royal Lodge, there'll be something in it for him. Let's be quite clear about that.
Meeting the Chinese ambassador, I mean, look, companies, governments, we do business in China, but taking the Chinese ambassador to Royal Lodge to meet a very high-ranking business CEO, what's your thoughts, Bronte?
I think it all comes back to just how much his dealings and business dealings particularly should be being scrutinised by the palace before anything happens. This is happening, within sort of the realms of the royal family again, and anything that looks bad on Prince Andrew and erodes trust further. I mean, I don't know how much further he can fall, really, in terms of trust with the public. But every time that happens, and particularly when you are talking about royal property and an official business, it does impact the overall view of the royal family, because he is the King's brother. And I just think that there should be further scrutiny on this sort of thing. And why is this happening? Why is this happening at Royal Lodge? Why is he able to conduct these sorts of high-level meetings there? I don't understand why this is years on from that Newsnight interview and everything that's happened since. I don't understand why there is any trust still being put in him.
We have to, as a country, deal with the Chinese, and it's perfectly proper for government ministers to deal with the Chinese ambassador. But those meetings are in the diary, they're recorded, there are civil servants there to take notes, there's a historical record of those meetings, and if people want to query that in due course, or select committee or something, they can do so. No one's taking a note of this meeting for public record. We don't know what Andrew was doing. I doubt the royal family knows what he was doing, because we know from previous experience that when he's been going abroad allegedly to help Britain for trade matters, when he was a trade envoy, he was having a whole host of private meetings with dodgy dictators. There was no record of those meetings kept. And if you ask Buckingham Palace what was discussed, they didn't even know he was having those meetings. He's a lone wolf. He's uncontrollable.
The one thing that worries me about this whole caper is the timing. Andrew would have known that this was going to come out about Yang Tengbo, about the allegations that this guy was a Chinese spy and he was banned from the UK on grounds of national security, and that Andrew was very close to him, and he knew it was going to come out in court in a couple of days. He'd known for months that it was going through court. But just before it came out, he was brazen enough to invite the Chinese ambassador.
It's that word. Oh, it's exactly what I was going to say. It's brazen, and it sort of indicates just how I think he's reached a whole new level of desperation in terms of making money and looking out for himself. And that is dangerous. That's alarming. I think this is, I don't know how much longer he'll go on having the ability to do these sorts of things, because I don't know why it's being allowed. I don't know why, as I said, it's not being recorded, why the palace doesn't have further scrutiny on it.
But we can't say anything has gone wrong in this meeting or anything illegal or anything like that. But is it not just more of just a bad look for the prince and the royal family?
It's as I say, he won't be doing things for reasons on the behalf of the country. Andrew will be acting for himself in some capacity with these meetings. Let's be quite clear about that. But look, I mean, it may be brazen, but it's also arrogant. It's arrogant that he thinks he can get away with it, that no one's going to find out. It's also bad judgment in terms of losing Royal Lodge for this particular meeting. And it's not very bright. It's all the things Andrew is, I'm afraid. Arrogant, not very bright, and bad judgment.
Should he keep Royal Lodge?
No, of course he shouldn't. I mean, it's a 30-bedroom house. He shouldn't be in there. It's ridiculous when he's talking about... Here's William talking about homelessness, and here's Andrew occupying a 30-bedroom house. I mean, it's not a good look for the royal family, is it?
And you can see why, if he's trying to impress these sorts of people and have these sorts of meetings still, you can see why he's trying so hard to hold on to it, because it adds a level of, well, here's my impressive, sprawling 30-room Royal Lodge. You know, it's all part of the package that he's still trying to cling on to desperately.
It's really interesting, because my understanding behind this is that the company Waterberg Sterling, they wanted to find ways to invest in China. They needed to, you know, find some people that could help them, or people with influence they could speak to. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But they would not have been able to summon the Chinese ambassador, a very, very important person. But Andrew could.
That's exactly
They could have rented out a whole floor in the Dorchester Hotel or something like that. But again, that's not safe. A safe place is Royal Lodge, and Andrew's the person that can summon them.
But the note from Adnan Sawadi,
he's the CEO of Waterberg Sterling. He was there.
Presents this as Andrew's investment vehicle, not Andrew on behalf of someone else acting as a middleman, but his investment vehicle. That's how it's being sold.
This is correspondence that was reported in the Mail a couple of days ago, and I think I don't like defending Andrew, but sometimes I have to step in. That's somebody speaking on Andrew's behalf. So we're not in a situation where we can guarantee that that's what's actually happening with Andrew. It's someone maybe over-speaking a little bit. And this is kind of personal correspondence that legally is very difficult to get into, because this is correspondence between Sawadi and the Chinese ambassador. And who wants to get into that kind of stuff? Normal. We've all seen Black Doves, haven't we? Let's not get down this route. Right. But no, it's a lot of trouble for Andrew. And I think we were talking last week, we were on here with a couple of weeks ago with the author Andrew Loney, and we were discussing, is this China spy crisis the end for Andrew? Will it disappear? Will his business links blow up this year? And it really seems like this story is not going to go away. He's a lightning rod for bad news.
I know we've been saying that exact line. The Prince Andrew story will not go away. We're in 2025 now. His big fall from grace happened in 2019, and there's just been drama after drama, and all of it does impact the monarchy. He's the king's brother. Yeah,
he should have his HRH taken away. I mean, in the interest of the royal family. He needs to be deprived of that, and the king should make absolutely clear that he's been excluded from the royal family, so they are protected. Because actually, if you're a Republican, he's the best weapon you've got.
It's a very good point, actually.
Absolutely.
He's, what powers does the king have? I mean, you say about taking away the HRH. He can't really evict him from Royal Lodge because he's got the lease with the Crown Estates. So he doesn't have the power to actually do it. He can take his money away, which he's done. Then what does Andrew do? He goes away and he finds extra funds from startups.
Yeah, but he's still got HRH in front of him. He's still got all these ludicrous titles, Vice Admiral and everything else, which have been given to over the years. The stuff can be taken away. And, in the interest of Charles, my advice to Charles, not to listen to me particularly, but my advice would be separate yourself from your brother as far as you possibly can, and as far as you can go and need to go in your own interest.
I was about to say, even if it's not within his power specifically to take, moves regarding HRH or whatever, it is within his power to control sort of the way that the family operates with Andrew. And I think that we saw that at Christmas when Andrew had to step back. If the king went there and laid down the law and said, this is what has to happen from moving forward here, no more meetings at Royal Lodge of this nature. If he was to lay down the law in that way, there are ways that he would be able to punish him moving forward in terms of just sort of cutting him off from those big the family events, which he hasn't really done over the last few years. We have seen him at a lot of family engagements, which I've sort of defended at the time because I said, well, he's lost his official job. It's okay, he's part of the family. But if he's doing things that are going to be damaging to the rest of them, it would be, I think, quite fair and reasonable for him to then have that laid down as an ultimatum.
I mean, cast your mind back to December before this happened. I mean, Andrew was a disgraced ex-member of the royal family who paid out millions of pounds to a woman who accused him of sex abuse that
Who
he
he said
claims
he'd
he's
never
never met. And now, fast forward, and he's an ex-member of the working royal family who paid millions of pounds to a woman who accused him of sex abuse that he's never met. And now he's linked to a Chinese spy and hosting high-level meetings at Royal Lodge. What's gone wrong with Andrew?
And a whole of other people as well. Convicted Libyan gun runners. You name it. He's been connected with them all over the years.
If this has happened over the last few years or even over the last decade, there's going to be more. As long as he's allowed to do anything, there's going to be more stories like this. He does seem to be an ongoing embarrassment.
An ongoing embarrassment and an ongoing story. Well, Norman, Bronte, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to stay subscribed to Sun Club for all the exclusive royal news.